So that's the best move, I think, to keep it moving forward. Don't you agree? Don't you agree to keep it moving forward? That would be the best thing. No, for the people, representing the people of Hamilton County. You want the best for the people, the voters. Is that right?
That's why I've asked that we do this process here in front of you and everyone else.
No, well, that's not. Well, we've done that, and that's fine. We respect that. But the better thing for the voters for Thursday would be to have the Secretary of State here. Don't you agree?
I'm going to tell you this. I think that she'll know about what's transpired.
Well, I know she'll know, but we want her here so we can keep moving.
Yes. It's her decision.
I know it's her decision. Thank you.
She won't give up her holiday.
Thank you. Well, we don't know that till we ask.
Councilman, I think from you. I just want to give everybody one chance. I promise I'll come back to you, sir. Yes.
Okay. Could you bring the voting rights constitution?
I'm sorry.
Director down.
I can't hear you.
I asked a question. What about asking the voters' rights, the director of the Voting Rights Institution? Can you ask that particular person to just come in and sit in to make sure that the questions that you are asking these poll workers, that they're I'm sorry, not poll workers, but the people that participated, make sure that their voting rights wasn't violated when you ask the questions.
Any thoughts on inviting an observer down? I shouldn't have to answer all these.
Anybody can invite an observer down, but all four of us, let me finish. All four of us are going to have the right to ask questions, and we're going to make up each our own minds as to what questions should be asked, and that's the way that's going to proceed. We're not going to. I'm not in favor of bringing somebody else in to tell us what questions we can each ask. I don't think that's appropriate.
No, I didn't ask
and if you want somebody to come down, invite them. They're certainly welcome to come, but they don't have a role in our process.
I did not say that they would have a role, just observe.
But that's fine. They're welcome to come down.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Bishop.
Yes, Chair. Just a question. Will the voters whose provisional ballots have been set aside, will the weight of their answers and remarks be given the same weight as the poll workers?
Our position, Caleb and I, believe that we ought to be contacting those voters. As I understand it, the other members of the board don't believe we should be doing that.
Yes.
So I don't think we can answer that question. What you hear is the suggestion that we're going to question 2,000 poll workers, and then we'll start on another 800 voters.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, we've made decisions for decades by reviewing the paperwork that comes into the board. And now we're going to change that, even though we have the opportunity to get additional paperwork in here and make decisions as we traditionally have in the past. And we've traditionally also relied on a bipartisan team from the board staff to help speed the process up so we can have teams of people reviewing the paperwork that's here. Now what's being proposed, because the only thing we could get 4 votes on, is we bring each person in and not the staff deal with it, but all of us. And all that's going to do is slow this process down to a crawl.
The Secretary of State gave us the option of, it said should contact and question poll workers. And we just had a difference as to how to do it. And anyway, Mr. Chair. Go ahead, Councilman. Welcome.
Just briefly, the question was asked about the original voter hotline. We didn't have that phone number available. I just thought it might be worth mentioning that that number is 1-866 Ohio Vote, or 1-866-644-6868.
Caleb, in addition to that, the number, the hotline is open at least to the end of the year. So,
Councilman, go ahead.
I guess I got a recommendation on how to proceed. You talked about sending out subpoenas to over 2,000 folks. So it's my understanding that there are 200 or so votes that were not done, and that was a result of the individual voting in the right polling place but the wrong precinct. My suggestion would be to send in your first grouping of subpoenas, send subpoenas to those poll workers first. I don't think anybody on the board would disagree with that.
Councilman Smith, you know what got us in this mess in the first place? Can I explain to you what it is? We treat, the judge of the federal court believed that we treated one classification of ballots differently than we treated another classification of ballots. Mr. Stevenson, is that, if I summarized it? That's correct. Right. And what and again, this is a technical point of law. We should not treat one classification different than the other classification. And I'm just concerned with that suggestion and a lot of the other suggestions that we treat some differently than others. Folks, that's the problem. That's the problem.
But the issue here is investigating whether there's poll worker error, and we already have information clear that there were certain voters that their vote did not count simply because they voted at the wrong precinct. We know that. That will eliminate that number right away, whether that was true or not, as far as whether that was poll worker error. We're just trying to speed the process up. And that makes clear that you're not putting one against the other. You're not giving anything towards one or the other. What you're doing is you already have identified some concerns as to those 200 and number, whatever that number is. And you can easily begin to interview folks in that respect.
I would just say I think the recommendation of Councilman Thomas actually makes a great deal of sense. We're simply recognizing a different set of circumstances, not treating votes differently, but recognizing a different set of circumstances in this case.
And the NEOC decision by the federal court in Columbus essentially makes that same distinction, treating voters who vote in the right room but at the wrong table. It's different. It says under those circumstances you should look at whether or not there's poll worker error. Unfortunately, that decision only applies to voters who use the last four digits of their Social Security number. It didn't apply to everybody who had that power. I think it should apply to everybody.
We're going to, a couple more comments, we're going to wrap it up.
If you start interviewing people that voted, aren't you kind of getting rid of the secret ballots? That's a privacy issue? Oh, no.
We're not asking them how they voted, we're just asking them how they got to where they voted.
And then secondly, where is personal responsibility here? To be a
Thank
citizen,
you, Tim.
Should you know where to go to vote? And isn't it incumbent?
They knew where to go to vote.
Please. Is it incumbent upon the voter, upon the citizen, to make sure that their voting is correct and counts? Where's the personal responsibility for the vote?
I think that there's one message that comes out of this process, and that's at the end. You can go to our website, you can look for the card you get in the mail, you can call us before the election, we'll tell you exactly where to go vote. And if you do that, then we won't have this problem. Exactly right.
No, but doesn't mean that people didn't.
Yes, sir.
Pastor Greg Chandler, president of the Ames Project and the president of the IMA. I think the point that was made the other day when we were here, which makes this situation a bit different. First of all, I want you to know that there's an awful lot of people praying about this whole process, that justice will be done. Because that must be what happens at the end of the day. And we believe that God is going to make sure that that happens. That's going to be the result of all of this. The situation was different, as was mentioned by our president, Christopher Smitherman, the other day. There were multiple precincts voting in the same building, which was unusual for a normal voting process. People would normally go to one location, there would be one precinct there. But now, people were going to one location. When they walked in, they found out that there were multiple precincts being housed in this one building.